Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Simisala Atiku. The Julius Abure-led Labour Party has withdrawn the automatic 2027 presidential election tickets initially reserved for Peter Obi, the party's 2023 presidential candidate, and Abia State Governor Alex Otti. This decision was part of the resolutions made by the party's National Executive Council (NEC) during a meeting held on Monday in Abuja. According to a statement released by the Abure-led faction, all election tickets from the presidency to the House of Assembly would now be open to all qualified Nigerians, signaling a move to democratize its candidate selection process. This announcement follows a recent meeting of Labour Party leaders, including Obi and Otti, where a 29-member caretaker committee was established to oversee the party's affairs. However, the Abure-led NEC nullified this decision, affirming that there was no leadership vacuum and emphasizing that the party held a valid national convention in March 2024. The NEC further called on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to stop supporting Governor Otti's attempt to interfere in the Labour Party's leadership matters. It also urged members to disregard the recent meeting organized by Otti and reaffirmed confidence in the Abure-led National Working Committee. To discuss further on this dispute in the Labour Party, political affairs analyst Sonny Maduka joins me on the program. Thank you for speaking with us, sir. Now, how threatening is this leadership crisis in the Labour Party, especially now that another 29-man caretaker committee has been set up without the input of Julius Abure's leadership, despite a Court of Appeal ruling affirming him as national chairman of the Labour Party?
I think the Obi Alex faction of Labour Party are trying to be proactive. They are trying to be futuristic. If you remember that in 2023, all the election verdicts, the judiciary must, counter verdict and everything. So I think the party led by this new set of people, Obi and Alex, I think they are trying to see that they don't have the futuristic crisis, legitimacy crisis. If you remember that, I think in June 2022, the tenure of Abure led executive has expired. They are just there because of the verdict of an appeal court, which can be invalidated anytime. In party issues, what is very paramount and very, very important is that the internal democracy must prevail. And what is internal democracy? The internal democracy is looking at the party's constitution and bylaws. If the party constitution says that Abure-led executive, their tenure has expired, it becomes very sacrosanct. No matter what the court is saying, the issue is that internal democracy prevails. Because in future, whoever that is elected under that platform could have a legitimacy problem. It could be litigation here and there. So I think that was what made this probably Alex to call for this new 15-man, 20-man committee to look into the crisis, look at how they can ameliorate, look at how in the future the party will not be a victim of judiciary modeling. I think it's very, very important. Nigeria, but it's not going to be, because most of the verdicts you can see in most of the court, they transcend from the jurisprudence of the party's constitution. And I don't see any crisis in it. The crisis is just going to fizzle out. After all, apartheid was there, Though in democracy, you expect crisis. It's only in an autocratic sphere that you cannot expect crisis. as we're having crisis in national, you should equally expect national crisis in a party, even in our homes. We have crisis with our children, with our wives, with whatever, but it doesn't deter us from being part of the family. So it's just a crisis. I think the 29-man committee headed by the senator should be able to harmonize all grievances and ensure that everything is cool. Don't forget, the genesis of this crisis is all about people to know that about it, and that was even part of his problem that he voiced out, that we should be able to understand the legitimacy of internal democracy, and where it is not adhered to, definitely they're going to have different votes. But you can see the number of people that attended the Otti Obi's, let me call it mini convention. So it gives you an idea that there's no much crisis, except few individuals who think or who are really propelling it to be such a much crisis. I don't see any crisis. They are going to weather it, and it's going to come out better. And if Labour Party is good at that, they should come out stronger and better.
What then is your take on the action of the Abure-led executive cancelling the automatic presidential candidate previously reserved for its 2023 presidential candidate, that's Peter Obi, and the governor of Abure State, Alex Otti, for the 2027 elections?
I think it's premature. Let me put it that way. Is it premature? Is it mature? Immaturity. That shouldn't have gone that far. And I can tell you authoritatively that Labour Party is equal to Peter Obi. In Abia State, Labour Party is equal to Alex Otti. So it's a little bit funny for you to say they are not reserving presidential ticket for Peter Obi. Don't forget that Obi has massive family, and that massive family is what we call obedient movement. Obedient movement is not about party affiliation. It's about people who are seeing character, competence, who are seeing integrity in a man. So it's not about Labour Party. I think Labour Party is demarcating themselves by, stating that fact. That fact of being that you are not putting anybody to be the flag bearer is a very, very wrong move by Labour Party and by Abure. They may be thinking that they are dealing with Obi, but the issue is not about Obi. Obedient movement is not about Labour Party, it's about Obi. So I think that is a very, very costly mistake, and I think they shouldn't have said that. I believe that if Abure made that statement, it's unfortunate. What he think or how he felt that is going to create some kind of imbalance on Obi's massive supporters, it's not going to make any impact, because like I said, Labour Party without Obi will be very, very miserable. So there's I don't think it's going to create any problem on Obi's integrity. Let me go for, maybe we'll talk about it later. Maybe, I don't know whether it's part of your question. In Nigeria today, there is only one person has been able to be transparent as a 2023 election, all the presidential candidates. Which of them has been able to come publicly to declare and give a thorough account of the presidential funding and expenditure? And this is a plus, not only to Obi, but to Labour Party. And it's very, very unfortunate that when this statement of account was rendered, Abure was seated, and other executives they were seated there. And If they had any problem, they could have said it there. This is aftermath. And after that account rendering, people were happy. And Abure didn't have any chance to debunk what was declared as per the expenditure, both by Aisha, Yusuf, and the other person. Everybody was given an opportunity to ask questions, of which journalists were there. They asked questions and they got responses. So I don't see how this Abure issue is going to be something that many Nigerians will take serious. Like I said, it's premature. I think if Abure had kept quiet, maybe it would have been the best of him. It would have created more value as per his own self. But jumping and trying to demarcate somebody, in that sphere, you demarcated that institution. You're supposed to be the leader. You know, leaders don't throw certain tantrums among themselves, especially on their followers. You should be very, very careful when you're coming to public to talk, to know what to say and what not to say. I think Abure didn't get it right this time around. He should retrace those steps. If he want to go further, he should retrace that. That was what killed Apata. He was overzealous. And Nigerians saw that, no, this is the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob. So people didn't take him serious anymore. And I don't want Abure to be in that sphere. He's been a wonderful fellow in Labour Party. And I want him to retrace his step and be part of the vanguard that will make Labour Party an envy of every Nigerian. You know, that's what I would just say for now.
Oh, Mr. Sonny Maduka, we'll go on a short break now, but please stay with us. We'll continue shortly. Welcome back. We're still discussing the leadership tussle, the crisis recently ongoing in the Labour Party. And political affairs analyst Sonny Maduka is still my guest on the program. Thank you very much for staying with us, sir. Now, do you think the obedient movement and Abure's announcement will continue to inspire Nigerians, especially the youth, you know, to support Peter Obi's, to support the campaign generally? Let me say, given that Peter Obi now doesn't have an automatic ticket, and also considering that Peter Obi brought up the traction that the Labour Party had back in 2023.
You know, politics in Nigeria is all about majority. You know, so it's not about party. It's a majority. Who is your fellow? Who are your followers? So Labour Party being, like I said before, being a platform on P2B's mandate to campaign and contest the 2027 election should be something that Labour Party should be proud of. As of today, I'm telling you, it's not because I'm an Igbo man or whatever, but Nigerians are going through tough time. Nigerians have seen the worst of any leadership in Nigeria. So Nigerians are looking for succor, and are looking for the best of hands, the best of brain, the best of somebody who will have empathy. And for now, if you do some kind of survey, obedient movement still believe in their idol, and that is P2B. So like I said before, obedient movement is not about party. Some people belong in different parties, but they just chose a person whom they discovered to have certain attributes of probably good character, virtue, honest, competence, empathy, caring. So these are the things that people are looking at. So don't look at the obedient movement as a Labour Party movement. No. Luckily, recently, Malam Tanko was made the coordinator of obedient movement. So you can see that it's not about Labour Party. Obedient movement is beyond Labour Party. It's just about looking for someone that will rescue Nigeria. And it may not be from Labour Party, I know, because before now, Labour Party in Nigeria, if you can recall, is not known. But in the entrance of Obi and Dati kind of activated that massive movement. That you have Obi Dati movement, you have obedient movement, you have all that movement joining. They saw that movement as the only way they can restore power from these old over-recycled leaders, and that is why it's going to be very difficult for you to convince any youth that their champion or the person they are holding on to rescue them, which is Obi, we have any disloyalty in what is happening in Labour Party. Labour Party is just a platform. It's not about the movement. The movement transcends more than party. It transcends more than Labour Party. Even if today Obi decides to go to another party, I'm telling you, the mass movement will still be there. So it's not about party. I think Labour Party should retrace their steps, each step, and ensure that they don't kill the only hen that have brought them to limelight. Because if they do, it's going to boom around, and it will not be well, and it will not be good for the survival of Labour Party. I think they should learn. They should learn that there are things you don't say publicly, things you can say within yourself. There should be an internal mechanism for dispute settlement, for conflict settlement. And I don't think that is something that we should come to the open as Abure did, to disparage his own party, because it's not talking about P2B or Dati or Otti. It's about your party. You should know what to say publicly. You should know what to say when you're together as a family. Labour Party, obedient family, they should be a family. And I'm looking at in the future, all these fusions, all these confusions, we galvanize them into being a mega party. And of course, for me, I don't see this crisis as something that is going to truncate the Labour Party movement as a third force in Nigerian political movement. But I just see it as internal democracy that is well accepted, is well appreciated. And if other parties will do that, it's better. Instead of bottling your grievances, it's better to bring it out and they talk. But the only problem I have that when you're bringing out your crisis or your confusion, your problems, it should be first of all discussed and settled internally before it comes out to public sphere. So that's the only problem. But for me, there's no problem, no crisis. When you get to that time, like they say, when you get to the bridge, you cross the bridge. So 2027 is still far. Who knows what will happen? That's equally, if you look at the history of Nigerian politics, there's always maneuverings, there's always manipulations, there's always cross-carpeting. So as of now, nobody can be sure that, even Kwangwazo, even El-Rufai, even Atiku, Obi, Dante, and every other person, so nobody knows, exactly where and how they will stay when it comes to 2027. Because I know for now, they must have been feeling the impact of Nigerians' hardship. So the issue now is how do we rescue Nigeria from what is happening? And all of them should put their heads together and come together and see how we can get this country moving. As of today, we are on standstill. And it's unfortunate. Now that we are on standstill, we're on reverse gear. And it's not auguring well. So all the party, the big wigs should sit down and see how they can project a person who has the capacity, whether it will be Atiku or anybody, even it can even be somebody that not known. Let us have a new wine so that to see how this country will get out of this already enclaved, bonded country that is being owned by individuals. Impliedly, let me say it that way. But we know that Nigeria is almost mortgaged to individuals. Thank you.
Finally, now let me get your take on the move by the Labour Party's treasurer, that's Oluchi Okpara, asking the Abure-led faction to stop the smear campaign against Peter Obi and immediately account for the 3.5 billion naira he misappropriated. Recall that Abure is being accused of financial misappropriation. Do you think that this whole matter is just a smear campaign against Peter Obi?
Well, I did say that for once in our history, and within the 2023 election, for once we saw a presidential candidate and a team coming to national purview to explain how much they got and how they expended how much they got. That to me is a very wonderful exposition. It may not be 100% okay, but for coming out to the public and saying this is how much we got and this is how much we expended is a laudable adventure. I don't think there's anyone that had done it again since. I don't think all the 3 election presidents, none of them. So I think the problem with Abure is just what you just said. And don't forget that part of this problem that created this new move to get new hands on board was an allegation that Peter Obi, being the leader of Labour Party, should account for 3.5 billion naira. And it was in that premise that Peter Obi now decided to make public his presidential campaign fund expenditure and income. But in that day too, he was asked questions. And I think one of the things that could have created this problem is that he said that the labor crisis financially is going to be looked into. And they are going to bring in international auditors to verify all the expenses and come up with the true state of affairs of Labour Party finance. And he was categorically making that statement. It was open statement. And I think I'm just feeling that that statement didn't go well with certain people in Abure camp, because Abure was the person being accused. But we want to cover that by saying we need to get this problem from the root. And that root is to get people who are versed in auditing to look at the books and come up with a figure that nobody can be able to falter. And since that time, this problem started. And I don't see why somebody should not account. Abure has been the chairman. At least, if he's accusing Peter Obi, let us see his own stewardship scorecard. How much has he expended since he was made the chairman of Labour Party? At least, however it is, let Nigerians see. When you are accused of 3.5 billion, the normal thing for you to do is to come out clean. Give Nigerians the benefit of doubt. Let us see how you expended it. It may not be 100%, but you see, like I told somebody, there's no way you can put your finger in your anus that you will not come out with something. But at least let there be some kind of transparency, accountability, and honesty. And I think that is why Obi and Alex did what they did. They want to exonerate themselves from such allegations. And I have respected that what Abure will have done is to see how he can regulate himself from the allegation. Like the treasurer just stated, when Abure was talking about Obi, and Aisha and whoever, misappropriating their campaign fund, the presidential campaign fund, I expected Abure too to give us his own stewardship scorecard on how much is expended as a chairman from inception to date. That we can always assess. Because when you want to assess somebody, there must be something to compare with. But there was no comparison. So he just said that, I don't know why, but the issue that records don't lie. They're there, they're open. If you have been accused of 3.5 billion, I think for me as a person, what Abure need to do is to come to open and tell Nigerians how those money, was kind of expended. It's not for him to smear P2B or any other person. At least P2B was able to come public to state how much he got, how he expended it, and publicly people asked questions. And Abure was there. So if there was any mismanagement of the fund, I think that was the day that Abure will have come up to say, my pressman, this is what happened. So you don't, because you're quarreling with somebody, you now try to tarnish that person's image. It is not good. It is not right. Because most of our friends that are best of our friends today, they were once strangers. And sometimes most of your worst friends that you think they are worse and they are bad could be the saving grace for you tomorrow. So it's always good when you're dealing with human being, try to understand the reputation of that person and the future implication of what you're saying about that person. Because you don't smear somebody, publicly, and you come inside and say, I'm sorry. How many people will hear that? It's like going to the marketplace and calling somebody a thief, and only to discover that the person is not a thief. You now come to the house and say, I'm sorry, I didn't know. How many people are going to go and tell that thing that have left the market? So that's why it's always very, very, very important for people to guide their utterances when they speak in the public, especially when it has to do with somebody's integrity and somebody's life and somebody's family.
Well, then let's see how things unfold just before the Edo State governorship election on September 21, where the Labour Party has fielded Olumide Akpata as its candidate, and even during the 2027 general elections. A political affairs analyst, Sonny Maduka, we really appreciate your time. Thank you for lending your thoughts. That's all we have on today's episode of the program. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.